I had asked to see a lifetime of mine as a galaxy, and classic.
As a galaxy? Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a galaxy. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Orphic. My name is Alyssa. I'm an astrophysicist. I have my PhD, and I'm interested in understanding the consciousness of the universe, the consciousness of astrophysics. I think that there's just a lot more. There's a lot more going on in terms of souls and essentially the energetics of everything and how like how all of that is going on at the same time that all of these astrophysical processes are going on. And I just think that there's probably some aspect of spirituality that can help us describe the entire picture. And after all, we do not really know what 95% of the universe is. One of the things I want to talk about today has to do a little bit with dark matter. So 95% of the universe is dark matter and dark energy. 5% is baryon.
95%?
95%
is dark matter?
And dark energy. It's combined.
Ooh, I have so many questions.
We only know only 5% of the universe is measurable across the electromagnetic spectrum from microwave radio waves to gamma rays.
Whoa. And on the other end of that, that's like also the same amount of the ocean that's like been discovered.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Which is like crazy. I know that's like totally different than like space, but like what's like 5% of the universe or of the ocean has been discovered?
Yeah. I mean, it's analogous, I think. There's a lot going on under there. So,
yeah. Anyways, I have so many questions. Like, okay, well, we'll get into it in a second.
We're gonna get astrophysics-y on this episode, so maybe we'll talk about it. Yeah, so I'm using my own intuition, my own channel to the divine, my own connection to universal wisdom to fill in the blanks and try to understand how it all works. So please give me a follow on Instagram at interdimensional.astrophysics.
Hey, I'm Mikayla with Mariposa Moonchild on Instagram. I'm a spiritual guide and an energy worker specializing in shadow alchemy and attunement work through energy medicine. And I'm here to be part of the ripple effect of healing across the planet. I believe when we heal ourselves, we heal the planet, we heal each other. It all starts with that inner work and that inner journey. And I'm here to be a guide and support along on that journey. And also into experiencing life as a human and what that looks like. Because we do the inner work to, heal ourselves. And so we can send those ripples, but it's also so we can bring in joy and bliss and fun and pleasure and play into our life and really experience the human experience and what it's like to be a human and to feel and to ride the waves as life, as they say, and be excited to ride the waves too. Because like the waves always keep coming. Like the end goal, there's never a goal of being completely healed or so nothing quote unquote happens in life. Like life is always going to throw you curveballs or opportunities to move through as your life curriculum. So how can we build our toolbox to learn how to like surf those waves and have fun while we're doing it as part of the human experience?
Yeah, love it. Okay, so let's ground in. Let's breathe a little bit.
Okay.
And then let's talk.
And then really? We're going to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to light my Palo Santo. I just blew out my lighter with my breath.
Stop breathing.
Okay. Place a hand on your heart. Take a moment and breathe in that Palo Santo smoke. Deep cleansing breath, deep breath in, filling your lungs all the way to the top. Pausing here. And when we're ready, let it go. Another deep breath in, filling our lungs all the way to the top. Pausing here. Feel your heart beating. Let it go. One more deep breath. Take in even a little more air. Let it go. And bring yourself back into this space when you're ready.
This is our 40th episode.
It is our 40th episode. We're almost onto a year of episodes with an episode coming out every single week. We have not missed one.
Look at us. Consistency queens.
Consistency queens.
That's what they call us.
Yeah. Pretty cool though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we started recording.
Yeah, we started
last
recording
October.
a year ago, about exactly a year ago.
About mid to the end of last October, and we didn't release our first episode until January 13th. So we'll be coming up on that 52 episode mark soon.
Yeah.
And then we'll be coming up on our year anniversary here in a few months too, which that's pretty cool.
What are we gonna do? We gotta have a party.
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
We'll have a Zoom party with you in New York and me in Canada.
You in just general Canada. Somewhere.
And I won't eat cake because there's gluten in it.
Right.
So
yeah.
gluten-free cake. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
So what's up? You kind of have like a big weekend coming up, don't you?
Yeah. I have what feels like a very big weekend coming up. So this weekend, I'm going to sit in ceremony with Grandmother T, which is the ayahuasca vine with the Kuntanawa tribe that are from the Amazon. This feels like a life-changing, once in a lifetime experience. Not that it's once in a lifetime because you can do this stuff again, but something feels very, very special and potent and powerful about this opportunity. And I feel like so blessed and honored that I get to be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. And it's local.
I don't know if I talked yet that I wanted to try to go down to the States and sit with this tribe. I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast or not, but anyways, so I have a beautiful friend who was serving medicine at the mushroom ceremonies that I spoke with a space holder in those ceremonies. And she was invited to go serve medicine down in the States, Grandmother Tea medicine, the ayahuasca vine, with the Kuntanawa tribe. And she traveled down to Brazil in the summertime to meet with and visit with and learn from the Kuntanawa tribe. And it just, wow, everything. It's just so cool. To get into, I'm going to learn more about the Kuntanawa, but to get into a little bit, so the Kuntanawa tribe is I'll do my best to get all the details right, but they live in, I think, Acre, Brazil, on a plot of land. And in the early 1900s, the whole tribe was wiped out by genocide.
Whoa.
The whole tribe. Except for 6 women. This was by the rubber tappers at the time. The rubber tappers were coming in and, taking from the land and the people and hurting the people and harming. And so this Kuntanawa tribe in the early 1900s, they killed them all. They came into the village and they killed them all, except for 6 women who escaped, but they found them and they kept them as sex slaves. And up until the 1980s, this tribe was still in slavery down in the Amazon.
Whoa.
think of the end of the 1980s, but it was sometime in the 1980s, I believe. And they were kept in slavery. So Chief Haru, which is the chief that will be serving the medicine, him and his wife, Hira, Chief Haru was one of the descendants of those six women, as well as the rubber tappers, who were also, like, I guess, the perpetrators in that, because the tribe, now everyone who was born from the tribe was born from those six women.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So they have a very interesting complexity within them, because they have the victim complexity of the women that were held as sex slaves. And then they have the aggressor, perpetrator. I feel like there's another word that I'm trying to think of to use, but they have that energy within them too.
Yeah.
So a lot of complexity and a lot of going on. And Haru was born into the Kuntanawa tribe. And I believe he went with the Yawanawa tribe, and he studied with one of the pages there for like years and years and years. Like, I think it was 10 plus years, but I'm going to learn more about this story this weekend, but this is from what I remember. And then at one point, the tribe was able to actually overturn their captors, without violence too, but they were able to overturn them, and then they were released out of slavery in that time. And then they've been rebuilding their tribe and what that kind of means to them. So Haru then became the leader of this tribe at one point, or he's become the leader of this tribe. And he's done really, really his own really, really deep healing work to heal from, like, those women that were those six, because that's in all of their blood now, all of their blood, as well as the other side of it, of the aggressor, dominant, energy too. So he's done a lot of healing work. And from what I've heard, this tribe just lives so beautifully in connection to the land and the animal kingdom and to each other. And they're just so deeply in flow and living in a tribal way where they're supporting one another and working together. And and Haru is this medicine man who serves the ayahuasca vine, as well as other medicines like Hape and Sananga, and many others, I'm sure, as well. And he's done really deep, intense work where he's sat in dieta with certain medicines. So that means, I think, having a very clean diet and then sitting with a certain medicine for a certain amount of time to understand the medicine. So there's certain medicines that he would go away during the dieta, this type of dieta, when you dieta with a plant, you go into isolation and solitude, and you get to know the plant. And he did some of those journeys for like a year with one plant. Whoa. So he's very deep in the work. I haven't met him yet, but there's something about his frequency and the frequency from the Kuntanawa tribe that's just so beautiful and heart-centered and just feels like true, like, universal love. And so now part of his mission, and I'll share the link to the video that I had watched, part of his mission, because also right now in the Amazon's being destroyed. And I'm going to learn more about that this weekend too. But it's being destroyed, it's being burnt, it's being cut down. There's droughts that are happening. I seen a thing recently where like 100 dolphins just died because of the drought, and it's really, really sad. And this is also like the Amazon, it affects the whole world. Like it's one of the biggest parts of the world that like recycles our like oxygen and air and stuff. Yeah. And it's just, and besides that, it's just, it's beautiful land that does not deserve to be destroyed in this way. So part of his mission is helping humanity come back to a place, like understanding this and helping us connect back to the land and to each other. And it's through our hearts. And that's what I talked about, like, in the beginning too, in the intro of the last episode, of what it means to like connect to our heart. So his mission is to bring that back. And it's through these medicines too that you can have really profound changes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we've talked about that too. It's just the consciousness of the plants, and they're here to help and they're here to heal, and they can only do it in co-creation with us. We have to agree. But yeah, this amazing man has come to teach the rest of the world outside of the Amazon about these beautiful plants and about what it means to live heart-centered in harmony with the planet and each other.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that's kind of a little description. But they were coming to the States to serve medicine in a bunch of different places in the States. And I felt this call that I just felt like that was my next step after the mushroom ceremonies. That was my next step. I was being called. I felt it. My friends also serving medicine with them. So I was like, that would be really cool. But I've been being called to sit with Aya for a while now. I felt her presence and she'll show up for me. But it was important to feel into the time and the place.
Mm-hmm.
And when it came to sitting with the Kuntanawa tribe, it's like, yes, this is how you're meant to experience it. And this is how, and this is with who. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to get myself down to the States, like how to get myself to the retreat, and, you know, just figure that all out. And I was trying to figure it out. I just kept being told over and over, like, just trust, just let go, surrender and trust, just trust. And like, Aya would come to me, and I've never sat with Aya yet, with grandmother medicine, not physically, but she has showed up to me in spirit before. And she showed up and she's just like, just trust, child, like, just trust. Like, if you're meant to be with them, like, it will happen. It will work out. Just trust. And I was kind of like, well, I feel like I'm supposed to do this and I don't know how I'm going to make it work. And it was like, just trust. Yeah. Just trust. And then I went to a hape ceremony facilitated by some of my beautiful friends that are also space holders. And they brought the news that the Kuntanawa tribe is coming to Canada. Mm-hmm. And so one of the venues in California fell through and they needed a replacement. They needed something else very last minute. Yeah. And my friend that's serving with them, Jay, she convinced them to come to Canada for that weekend instead. And this was like 2 weeks before it was happening. It was like so last minute. Mm-hmm. And when she told me, I was literally like in tears, like I was tearing up because I was just like, no fucking way. Yo. Like, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get there, how it's going to work out, all the logistics. Aya says, trust. And then she comes to my backyard. Mm-hmm. Yep. Like, wow. The Kuntanawa tribe have never been in Canada before. This is their first time coming to Canada. And they're coming to Vernon, BC.
Yeah, your backyard. And you're also getting to do the ceremony with some people that you know. A lot of people that you know, right?
Yeah. It feels really, really, really potent and really powerful. And I already know that those first 2 mushroom ceremonies were only preparing me for this.
For sure.
Not only, but they were preparing me. They are preparing me for this. And it's all come together like really last minute, but just the way as it's meant to. And I've just been leaning in deeper and deeper into trust. So we're all going out to an off-grid temple space that hasn't really been seen by a lot of people or used before. And I've already connected to the land a little bit. It's come through. Yeah. And it's very, very special land. So I feel very blessed that the land keeper is opening up his space and his land for us to come in. So thank you to him and to the land that's going to hold the space, and to everyone that's going to be there. But yeah, so the first 2 nights are grandmother medicine. So we'll be sitting with Aya in ceremony. And then the last night is a Hape and Sanunga certificate, as well as a forest guardian certificate. So we're going to learn more about the Amazon and helping with that. But yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it, as well as I have a little bit of nerves that come up, but I know that's just because there's a big shift that's going to happen. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful. I'm going to pull out my little trailer to camp in, so I'll be camping in that for the weekend. And yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to it. It was interesting too, because in my mushroom ceremonies, like this was before I even knew they were coming to Canada, and Haru, the chief of the tribe, and his wife Hyra, their faces like popped up and they were just like standing there, and I was like, interesting. And there's a piece of me, it's like, am I projecting this? But I'm just like, their energy was like coming through strong. So and where we were doing the ceremony is very close to where they're coming to. I don't know, it's so beautiful how things come like full circle and work out. And if you really are able to just like let go and surrender and trust, like the universe it's like that saying where it's just like, it's gonna be even better than you could have imagined, because like I absolutely did not think that they would be coming like right to me. I'm signed up to try Kambo at the ceremony too. So Kambo it's like a frog secretion. I believe it's like the saliva. And from my understanding, you open up a piece of skin or kind of burn some like I don't want to say hole, because this is not supposed to be painful, but they uncover some skin and then they place the frog saliva in there. And it's also like very purgatory, but very cleansing for the body. That same friend who's going to be serving medicine with them, I know she went to Egypt one time, and she has a gluten intolerance, and she ate some gluten, and she's like, what am I going to do? Like, was really not feeling good. And somebody that was there the medicine had Kambo, and she took it, and it's like about a 20-minute process from what I've heard. And she said it made her feel way better, like completely cleaned her out and made her feel way better. So, that'll be interesting too. I haven't sat with Kambo before. And I don't know what's going to come of it, but I also felt called to connect with that as well and sit with it. So yeah, it's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be amazing.
Yes, I'm very excited for you for this big shift. It's gonna affect us all. Ripple, baby.
Yeah,
ripple it out.
Yeah, ripple effect, baby. And it's true. Like it really does. Like I went through some pretty major shifts in my first mushroom ceremony. And this is like only speaking to my experience, of course. But even Bryce has like made comments about how he's like can see the shifts and he can feel them, like even in that short amount of time. So that's pretty cool too. And like that's also a great reminder for, you know, when sometimes people don't always understand this work or understand what you're doing, and they don't have to, but what speaks is the change. What speaks is your demeanor and your capability to maybe how you handle stress now, or the life force energy that's flowing through you, or like the changes don't lie. Like, you know, the shifts don't lie.
Definitely. Yeah, it affects everywhere, and it's like, it's probably in so many subconscious ways that you haven't even thought of yet, I'm sure, too. Just because it's like it's changing your cells, it's changing your DNA just by these shifts. So everything that's happening,
the ripple effect, baby.
Yeah.
And as Lucia says, you know, like if you drop if you drop a drop you know, into the water, It's just little ripples at first, but as they get further away, they get bigger and bigger. So the ripple starts within the first days and weeks, but then it ripples out bigger and bigger into the months and the years, and it affects everything and everyone around you. When you choose to do that, when you choose yourself, when you choose your own alignment, it affects everything and everyone. It reflects out into your reality.
Yeah. That's interesting that you emphasize the choose, because I was going to say, like, yeah, I just feel like the point that I'm at is like, oh yeah, well, first off, there's a bit of an update with the dream job. Anyone that's been following along from the conversation or from the episode with all of my stuff. No, I had followed up with them, and they informed me that right now they don't have the funding. So it's been this interesting, it's, I guess the door is still not fully shut.
No.
I did foresee that. I did expect that to be a possibility. It's kind of this privately funded research company, and the thing with research, and I do know so much about kind of the politics and the finances of research, and research in the States, at least, and mainstream research is funded by universities, and it's funded by the government. Like a lot of like a lot of the research and all of where I got my funding for during grad school and research grants and everything, that shit comes from NASA. We get grants from NASA. We get and then it's like and then stuff through the university, but it's very political in terms of just the funding for especially astronomy research and astrophysics research, when a lot of it has to do with the telescopes, and the telescopes are all funded by NASA. So
well, I think is like all scientific research is political.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's
totally.
like kind of the issue with a lot of things here.
Exactly. That is the issue. And so it's like basically all to say that if you're trying to do this research outside of the mainstream, or research that is not technically wouldn't be considered under the main umbrella of academia,
there's research they don't want you to do. Like,
exactly.
Straight up.
Yes. And that would this stuff would probably fall into that category. It's like a private company that is doing out of the box research, that's doing new things that are literally challenging academia, things that are bridging science and spirituality. And obviously that's why I had my heart so set on this, and I still do. And you never know, maybe the timing's just not yet. Maybe it's just a not yet. But yeah, so there is a funding issue there, which is unfortunate, but it's also it's all right. But it was kind of like, maybe, they're working on it to expand, and we'll check back in before the end of the year, or we'll check back in at some later time. But yeah, it was this interesting level of, it was the most closure that I've had. It was the most temporary closure that I've had on the situation this whole year, because I've been following or hoping for this to come through this whole year. And so I feel like it's kind of put me in an interesting spot in terms of I feel like now I things are a little bit more on my own terms, in terms of if I do choose to apply for some other type of job that's not researching science and spirituality, but will provide financial support. I do feel like now I'm doing that more on my own terms. It's like so classic me. Well, I don't know. I'm just so one of those people that is like, don't tell me what to do. Like, I need to decide it for myself.
Yeah,
I'm sure like a lot of people are like that, but I don't know. Not everyone.
Yeah, a lot of star seeds probably.
Exactly. I'm like, so I feel like now that things are a little bit more on my own terms, and that I'm not holding out for something that I didn't have an answer to, I feel more open to some options. But in terms of like these other avenues for myself, like spiritual services, and I do want to go down that path too, and I'm going to start having offerings and everything. It's so just a matter of me choosing it, and I feel like right now I'm just kind of like I'm at that position where like I'm just like kind of standing there, sitting there, whatever, and I'm just like looking at my options, and I'm just like I'm just like, yeah, I have to choose this, and I'm like scared, but I'm like, so right now, so far at least, I've kind of just been looking at it, and I've just been like frozen, and I've just been looking, and I've just been like, it's me. I'm the one that has to choose this
Mm.
path, and I have to walk down it, and I have to take the steps, and I know what to do, but this path in particular requires a lot of self-trust, and it's a completely different energetic to go down a path of leaning into your spiritual uh connections and leaning into like using your intuition to offer value to another person and to also be financially energetically compensated for that. It's a really big shift, I feel like, that you have to take. And like, you've done it. You've probably experienced this before. And it's funny because I just got like this
Yeah.
mini business reading from Jenny, my mentor, and she is like the other thing that my guides keep saying, like they keep saying like, you're ready, you're ready, you're ready. She was like, in one of the voice memos, she's like, they just keep saying, you're ready, you're ready, you're ready. And I'm like, yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah.
No, but it's ultimately it's just all about the fact that it's like to go down this path in terms of what it looks like for me, it's like all just about self-trust, and that's just on me. And so I'm kind of just like looking at it, and I'm like, I'm just, yeah, I got to choose this when I'm ready. And that's kind of been my energy of late.
You're ready.
Like
You're ready.
just
You're ready. Yeah. I'll choose this when I'm ready.
Oh, you caught that? I
Caught
guess that was
that.
a good observation. That's why I have you. Um, yeah, I know. So I'm just like, yeah, that's been my energy. And then like I even had dreams about giving people readings. So I feel like that was a sign. I told you this. I had a dream that I was giving someone a reading, and they were an Orphic listener. So, hey, if you're out there.
What
um
I'll say is like getting started is always the hardest part. Like
yeah.
we've been talking about this a lot too. Like following your path takes courage and it takes bravery and it takes
Yeah.
strength to choose the destiny life over the
Mhm.
fated life.
Mhm.
And as we like expand out of our if we stay in our comfort bubble, if we choose to always stay in our comfort bubble, we're choosing the fated life. But if once we get into the discomfort zone and we're pushing our edges, like it is going to be uncomfortable because we're in a
Yeah.
whole new territory. It's unfamiliar, and our nervous system, our subconscious wants to keep us safe and wants to keep us small. So it's like we learn to play with it, but you do have to choose to push those edges knowing that you'll feel resistance. Because if you're in a container that's only this small and you're like, okay, it's time to push the edges, like it's physics, baby. The edges are right there. You're pushing against
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But in order to expand, you have to feel the resistance of pushing the edges. There's and like it always gets easier because once your nervous system, once you learn how to do it, then it's part of you, and it gets easier and
Yeah.
easier. The hardest part
Yeah.
is always the beginning. And I say that, I mean, I gotta tell myself this too when I'm entering into new territory or doing something different. The first time I do it will be the most uncomfortable, and then it'll be easier and easier and easier. Same with your healing journey. Yeah. I'll admit, like if you want to work like with me in the metamorphosis program or do your own healing work or a program with someone else or however you choose to do it, you can do it completely on your own too. it's the beginning shit that's the toughest. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Like, we're doing shadow work and shadow alchemy here to actually go into our wounds and alchemize those. It's not always easy. Like, if you want to heal lifetimes and lifetimes of trauma, like, it better be fucking challenging, you know, in some ways. But it's also really beautiful because the beginning part is the hardest, because after you finally look at these things or do these things, it's like, oh, that actually wasn't that bad. It felt a little uncomfortable when I was in it, but now I'm through it and now I'm on the other side. And now I get to see where I get to continue expanding myself out.
Yeah.
So it's just like being really honest with yourself. And I'm not necessarily speaking to you. I'm just speaking in general. Of where do I want to go and what am I willing to let go of to get there? Am I willing to let go of it? Am I willing to feel uncomfortable? Because, and this is the thing when people manifest, we're at point A, we want to get to point B, but then there's got to be something linking them in between.
Yeah.
And that is pushing your edges, baby, whatever that feels like, whatever that looks like for you. And then once you start to do it, it gets easier and easier because the unfamiliar becomes familiar, if that makes sense. Your nervous system becomes more regulated to that of what feels unfamiliar and new. And it's kind of like, oh, we're doing this again. Okay, I got you. I'm strong. I'm brave. I'm courageous. Let's do it. Let's push the edges. This is fun. Let's surf the waves. Let's live life.
Yeah. Yep. It's like, it's a good point about the nervous system adjustment. It's like, it's so much of this stuff is nervous system related. And like, once your nervous system does experience that, it becomes easier the next time. But yeah, it's a choice. And clearly I'm kind of at this crossroads or like this impasse. I don't think that's the word I'm looking for. I don't know, whatever it is. It's and it's like I want to go down that path. So it's just, right now I'm just taking a look in the mirror and I'm like, okay, let's do it.
I mean, and you also get to be gentle and compassionate with yourself as you learn to do something unfamiliar and push the edges, because it is new and your subconscious and your nervous system isn't used to it. So we get to be gentle to our bodies and to ourselves and to our spirit as we go through that process, and we get to take it slow and we get to do it on our terms, and we get to tune into our intuition and our heart of what feels in the best to move through this. And if I'm not ready right now, that's also okay. That's okay.
Yeah. Right. I've had to move through a lot of that in this last week or so, because it's kind of been like the tale as old as time, like me already being hard on myself. Like, I should have done these practice readings last week. I should have done this practice 2 weeks ago, and then constantly bringing myself back to a big theme of what I've been doing lately is constantly, in terms of the whole thing with the whole thing of like procrastinating or feeling like time is escaping you, or just like every day it's like, oh my God, I was supposed to start this last week. I was supposed to do this a few weeks ago. I kind of keep bringing myself back to like, what have I already learned from the time that's passed, and all the lessons that I learned from finishing my PhD and thinking that time was escaping me and thinking that everything was ruined because I wasted another day. And then it's like, I have literally already shown myself so much. What have I already learned? I've already learned that that's all bullshit, and that the sun rises again, and there's no such thing. It's just a complete illusion that you're wrong because you should have started last week. It's like all this shit. It's just complete illusion. And it's just unnecessary like ball bouncing around in your head. And it's like, I've already learned this, and it's just kind of, I've just been reminding myself a lot of that lately. Like,
just an opportunity to apply it.
Exactly. Like, Yeah, like, not that I have already learned it in the sense of, like, you should know this, bitch. But, like, right? Remember that time when, like, I thought it wasn't going to be okay because I should have done this last week, but then it was still okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there too. And
So
I still work with that stuff too. Like lately, I've been learning as my business has been shifting, and I've been shifting. I've been really shifting.
yeah.
I've been learning a lot about listening to my heart and taking aligned action and versus trying to force something, because it's easy to
Yeah.
get in your head and be like, I should do this and I should do this and I should do this. And I've had a few lessons recently about letting it flow and trusting and taking the aligned heart action and actually feeling into my heart and what should I do today, or what am I being called to, versus I should do this and this and this, and trying to like force things and force outcomes and force results. It doesn't work. I was reading this in the Gene Keys. I think it was the 26th Gene Key, but I could be wrong, of me. I'm learning more about my Gene Keys. And it was talking about thy will versus my will, and like how my will is just pure willpower. And it's like, yeah, sure, you can be successful with willpower to a certain extent, but at some point you will burn out, you will crash, your health will deteriorate because you're taking all of your strength and trying to force and move but yeah, just force something.
Yeah.
And then thy will is like, the universe has a flow and a plan anyways, and my will is we're trying to work against that, but it will always be thy will. And the sooner we're able to just surrender to thy will, the easier it's going to go, and it's going to flow to us a lot with ease than trying to force it. And for myself, one recent example, which is kind of funny, is Bryce and I recently had an engagement shoot, and I was like, what shoes am I going to wear? I need shoes to wear. We're like close to the same height, so we're not doing heels for this. We're doing flats. Usually if we go to an event or something, like I'll wear like a little block heel or something, but like in our photos, I'm like, we'll do like flats. So I'm like, where am I going to get these flats? And I'm like trying to figure it out fairly last minute, like a few weeks before. I'm like, okay, I'll go on Etsy, and there's some really beautiful like bridal flats on Etsy. I look at the shipping times. They give like a range. It's like, it'll be here between September 11th to October 20th. I'm like, what do you mean? So like I reach out to the woman that makes them. I'm like, this is my situation. I need them by this date. Can we make that happen? She's like, yeah, sure. We can do that. They should be there by then. All good. Like, send in your order and we'll get them done right away. Okay, great. I send in my order and I'm like messaging her. And then she's like, okay, yeah, we'll send them out early next week. And I was like, what do you mean? Because in my head at that time, early next week was not quick enough. Like I was like, no, they need to be sent, because this was at the beginning of the week before. I was like, they need to be sent out like ASAP. And like, you told me that they're going to get here on time, ma'am. And she's like, the early next week. And I was like, kind of like, what do you mean? And she's like, no, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm like, okay, great. So Wednesday rolls around. They're not sent out of the next week. Thursday rolls around. They're not sent out. And I'm like freaking out because like my shoot is that like following Wednesday. And they're coming from Turkey, by the way, Istanbul. But I'm like, I wouldn't have ordered them if she would have just been like, oh no, they're not going to get there on time. So I'm messaging her kind of being like, why haven't you sent them out yet? Like, do you think they're going to make it? Like, and I'm not being rude, but I'm definitely being like, I'll be really disappointed if they don't make it. Like I was really hoping they'd be sent out by now, type of thing. And she's just like, ma'am, please. Like, she's like, yeah, we'll get them sent out as soon as we can. Like we're, and I think they eventually got sent out on the Friday, but then I get the shipping notice that's like, they'll be there in, again, like a very wide range, like the end of September to the end of October. And I'm like the date that it said that they're going to be there by was past the day of my shoot. So I'm freaking out because I'm like, and these were not cheap shoes, by the way, either. Because they're like handmade, very beautiful. And then so I messaged her and I'm like, the shipping says that they're not going to be here on time. I'm like I really, like, I just, this just sucks for me, kind of. I do feel upset. I feel disappointed. Like, I wish we could have you sent them out maybe express, or like we, sent them out earlier.
Right.
And she's like, well, usually they get there in like a couple days. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then she's like, well, it says they should be there by Monday. And I'm like, okay, right. Okay, we'll see. Like,
we'll see about that.
So then I do get eventually a notification in the mail that says your package is in Kelowna and it's out for delivery today. And this is the Tuesday. Yes, this is the Tuesday. Our shoot is tomorrow on Wednesday at this point. So they're coming last minute, but I'm just like, I'm happy. Thank you, ma'am. They're coming. They're on their way.
Thank you, ma'am.
I take Osa out for a walk. I come home from the walk. No shoes. I check my email. Attempted delivery. I live out in what seems like to some people the middle of nowhere. I live an hour from Kelowna and like 45 from Vernon. And I'm like, attempted delivery? But they're not on my doorstep? Like, because usually the DHL truck or whatever it is, like if it doesn't go to your mailbox, it's on your step, or the Amazon packages, like it's on your step.
Packages work.
But no, I get a little sticky note that says attempted delivery. We'll try tomorrow. Tomorrow is my photo shoot. Tomorrow's my photo shoot. So, and this was actually the evening that I went to the rapé ceremony and circle. So that night, and I had to still pick up Bryce a shirt for this too. I have to find him a shirt. So I'm going into Vernon, trying to find him a shirt, going to get my nails done. And then I was going to go and have dinner with my friends and then go to the rapé circle. And in the middle of this, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get these goddamn shoes, because now they're on this UPS truck back to Kelowna, and they said that they'll be out for delivery again tomorrow, which isn't going to work. So thanks to everyone for bearing with me on this story. This tangent. So I'm calling the UPS. I'm calling like their main line. I get a hold of this woman, and she's, first of all, we can't find my tracking number. We can't even figure it out. We can't find it. It's not on my email. I can't find it. I tell them my address. Nope, there's no packages that are supposed to come to you. I'm like, what do you mean? What's happening? Then I finally get the Etsy app on my phone, and then there's a tracking number. So then I call them back, and I've sent them an email. I call this girl back, and she's like, okay, ma'am, we'll like send the dispatch center a message for them to like keep them there or something, so that you don't have to, or to keep them in Kelowna at the dispatch center, because I was going to go into Kelowna the next day and then drive to where our shoot was going to be and meet our photographer. So I'm like, I can pick them up Wednesday morning at the dispatch center if they stay there. But if they get on that stupid truck, I'm not going to be able to get them.
Yeah.
So I'm telling that to like the lady, and she's like, okay, ma'am, I sent them a message. They'll get back to you within 21 hours. And I'm like, 21 hours? What do you mean? I was like, the shoot's tomorrow. And she's like, ma'am, it could be before that, but it's within 24 hours. And I'm just like, like, fuck. I'm like, okay, thank you. And like just forcing it so hard to get these freaking shoes. And then, so then early morning I get a call, and then from the dispatch center, you have to get them in between this time window early in the morning, between like 7 and 9. So we have to leave in the morning. I'm making Bryce, and I have to get myself up earlier to get myself ready to leave even earlier so we can get to this dispatch center before we meet the photographer. And then I get a call, and it's like, oh yeah, we have them here. We'll hold them for you. I'm like, okay, great. Get there, I have to pay an extra $50 on top of how already expensive these shoes were for like stupid duties. Fuck the government. Yeah. I don't care. I said it. I'm taking myself back to the energy that I was in at that time. Pay an extra $50 to get these shoes. I get them, finally have them. They're so beautiful. They're really pretty. We meet with the photographer. She says she chose to drive herself. She got a rental and she wanted to drive herself. And she's like, well, why don't you guys just hop in with me and we can drive together? I'm like, sure, sounds great. We grab all of our stuff. We head to where we're going to do our shoot about an hour away. We're like in the forest. Get there, get my dress on, look around. No shoes.
No shoes.
I left my shoes in Bryce's truck. I didn't grab them. I thought I grabbed everything. I don't know how I didn't see them. I remember looking back in the truck to see if we had anything else. And I literally don't remember seeing anything. I see an empty truck.
They hopped out of the dimension.
No shoes. I have no shoes. I wore my Adidas sneakers and my sweatpants beforehand because I was going to change into the dress. I have no shoes. So we have to go barefoot. We do barefoot in the forest. And honestly, it was awesome. Like, I'm so happy. Yeah. I haven't got the pictures back yet. I'm excited to see them. But I did all absolutely barefoot. I was grounding the whole day. The shoes probably would have got wrecked. Like, they probably would have got grass stains or got wrecked in all like the kind of squishy moss. And I just did, the barefoot. And I think they're going to look so beautiful. Like, it was so natural and pretty and beautiful. And that's exactly how it was meant to be. That it's going to be way better than if I wore the shoes. Like, the photos are going to be amazing. But I was just so hell-bent on getting these freaking shoes. And the universe is like, you don't need them. You don't need them. But I'm like, yes, I do. And I was just trying to force it so hard. And also probably in situations where I'm like projecting the blame, like onto other people. Like, oh, this lady she didn't get them out in time. Oh, the DHL man didn't leave them on my step. Oh, this. And then I'm the one that leaves them, that forgets them.
Yeah, that was funny.
A sick fucking joke.
Not
is
for
this
you at first.
But it just goes to show you can't control it. It was just a lesson for me. And then once I realized it, I literally just laughed because I'm like, of course I forgot them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's comical. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
So I had some barefoot photos, and Bryce did some bare feet too, and we were running around in the moss, and it was beautiful and romantic. And I'll share some photos once I get them. And my shoes are
lots of grounding.
Nice in their box, unworn, untouched, just sitting there.
Waiting for a rainy day.
Yeah, they'll probably just be my like wedding shoes now. So
yeah,
one thing scratched off the list, but what a journey.
What a journey.
And that's the thing, because the whole time I'm trying to force that and figure it out. It's like my nervous system is just so jacked up because I'm like, I have to figure this out. I have to get these shoes. And I'm not just taking a second to take a breath and just, do I need these fucking shoes? Yeah. Is it even in my highest and best to have these fucking shoes?
Yeah. These fucking shoes.
Thank you, shoes, because I was taught a lesson. I learned something. There.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about Galaxy.
Yeah, give her.
There was no transition there. I guess just for this last little bit, I'll pare it down to this one. Oh yeah, because this is the thing. I also realized that I had this cool astral experience. Okay, well, actually, I don't think I'll maybe talk about the Pleiadian thing right now. But in one of the last psychic light classes, I had a cool Akashic journey thing. So we did like a journey to just some lifetime that we asked to see. And I had asked to see a lifetime of mine as a galaxy. And classic.
As a galaxy? Oh, wow.
Yeah, as a galaxy. Yeah.
That's cool.
And so, like, there wasn't that much, it wasn't the longest thing ever, so it wasn't like that much detail, but there were a few cool things like that I felt, and that kind of just some words that came to me. So I felt like I was at the center of this beautiful like spiral galaxy with these beautiful spiral arms. And then I kind of heard the term Divine Mother. and I felt like and then it was like I felt like all of the spiral arms were like my children, and
Mm.
that I loved them each uniquely and differently, and because
Mm.
they were all so different and everything. So it was kind of this like feminine energy of existing at the center, but having these like children, and there was definitely some emphasis on their uniqueness and how they each have this unique frequency to them. And so I thought that that was really cool. And there was something else too, kind of about how, like, I always would think that the center of so at the center of every galaxy is a supermassive black hole, as we think. And so I always kind of associate the center with like the heart chakra, because the heart is a portal. And so I think of black holes as kind of these portals.
Yeah.
And so I almost had this feeling though, and I mean that might still be the case. I don't know. I'd have to tap into it a bit more. But I almost sort of thought of the center as like the crown, actually. Something
Mm.
to do with the crown chakra, and it reminded me of when a little while back my friend Danny had tapped in, just she was like looking at my energy body and my energy system, and she saw like in my third eye crown like the center of a galaxy, and like some connection there to me. It was like she saw like the swirling center of the galaxy like as the center of my eye and like my crown in a way. And she said something about how like I have this direct like access, or like when I channel, it's like I'm creating this connection like to the center of the galaxy. And I don't know, I just thought it was so interesting, because I'll have to expand on that more, or like feel into that more, maybe like the differences there. um but so then I was kind of like tapping in a bit earlier today, trying to think of expand on some other downloads that I had to talk about. And I was thinking about um I was thinking about dark matter halos. So, and also about like the masculine feminine energy stuff. And so a dark matter halo is like this sphere of dark matter that exists around galaxies, that basically the science of it is that I talked about this in the podcast before? No, I just got a deja vu. Where did I talk about this? I don't know. Um I don't know. The science of it is that like, well, so dark matter is not necessarily detectable on the electromagnetic spectrum, but when we calculate the rotation curve of the galaxy, the reason that we know that there has to be something else on the outskirts of the galaxy that's basically keeping it from blowing apart, because so the rotation curve means that you're calculating the velocity, the rotational velocity, as a function of distance from the center of the galaxy. And basically the way that dark matter halos were discovered was that when we look at the rotation curve, like the way that the speed of the galaxy drops off as a function of radius doesn't make sense for its angular momentum. Dark matter is not visible light. It's not technically detectable. So based on like visible starlight and the matter that we can actually detect, we because the material kind of like drops off as you get to the outskirts of the galaxy, essentially it's like there's a certain expected rotation curve, like velocity rotation curve of the galaxy that we would expect, and what we actually so there's some difference between what we actually measure, the speed that we actually measure, versus what you would expect to be from the calculations, basically. And I don't know how well I'm explaining this, but this is the evidence that we have for why galaxies are encased in this dark matter spherical halo. And so I had thought a lot about this, or actually one day in meditation, I kind of it just popped in out of nowhere that I was like, is the galaxy's dark matter halo like its aura? Because I was like, that would be cool. Trying to find some sort of spiritual explanation or understanding. And I'm not 100% sure, but when I was meditating today, I was kind of tapping into it, and I was visualizing this dark matter halo sphere around the galaxy, and I was trying to ask a bit more about it and a bit more about what it does. And well, so in terms of the function that we already know, I do feel more of like the masculine container energy from it, because like literally it's like in terms of speed, it's keeping the galaxy from blowing itself apart and speeding up like on itself. Like there's an angular momentum explanation for that. So it's like this, it is this container, and it's already just really cool in terms of just my interest in shapes and the connection between shapes of everything, and how like we have a mostly spherical kind of aura around us, and it's like every galaxy then has this sphere of energy around it. And so then I kind of started seeing this vision of, so then I got the word counterpart. And there is this kind of like matter, antimatter stuff going on. I mean, dark matter, we truly don't even really know what it is. But so I got the word counterpart, and then I started seeing like almost like and also like reflection in a way. Like I started seeing this symmetry of like every single point. So I'm imagining like a disc like spiral armed galaxy in the center, and then a sphere around it. And it was like I started seeing this symmetry of where every point on the outside connects symmetrically to the inside. And it was like I saw there being, to every piece, every component of the galaxy, it was like I saw there being a counterpart, opposite component to receive it. Actually, that word just came through. To receive it within the dark matter halo. So it is some kind of symmetrical reflection, but particularly having to do with some kind of counterpart. The whole concept of like two ends of the same stick, or opposite ends of the same stick, and how there's some correspondence and reflection and interaction, because we don't really know the way that the dark matter halo necessarily interacts with what's going on in the galaxy. But I guess I kind of am almost seeing it as, in a way, maybe like some sort of quantum entanglement or some sort of communication going on. But it's like I'm seeing these different components, like the reason that it's encased in a sphere is like and the significance of going out in every direction, to there being some receiving counterpart, like within the dark matter halo, holding the galaxy up and holding it in. And I think that's cool, and I wanna unpack that more, or see, try to lean into that and see what else I can think of that, because I don't think I've ever really, especially like the word counterpart, because I mean, I've thought of it as like maybe holding the galaxy up, but it's like I'm now seeing it as like there being some communication with every aspect within the galaxy, and some communication or bouncing off of. And so that was one of the thoughts I had today. How does that resonate with you? You're like, just wanted to give you
I mean, just processing and taking it in. I knew you were going to ask me what I thought. Okay, like sometimes when you get like a little mathy, I'll be honest, like you lose me a little bit. Yes,
okay.
like I'm listening and I'm there and I'm like visualizing it. Do I have anything to add at this point? Not necessarily. Will I in the future? Potentially.
Yeah. No, I wasn't necessarily expecting you.
I mean, it definitely resonates as like true. But I don't know if at this point I have any other thoughts to add on top of it. But I also don't always necessarily understand how some of the physics of the things work.
Yeah. Well, the thing with the rotation curve is definitely
I don't even know what a rotation curve is.
But yeah, I know. I tried to explain.
No, it's okay. It's cool. I love your downloads that come through, and I love speaking on it. I just don't know if I have anything at this time to add to that one.
Yeah. So I mean, this feels like the seedling of a download. This feels like a tiny little package where the rest needs to, I'm trying to find some analogy that I've thought of before, or I've heard before in terms of describing downloads, but it feels like the seedling, and I'm super interested in this, obviously. So I want to go into it more. And dark matter halos and dark matter are one of the biggest mysteries in the entire universe. So might as well use that good old intuitive connection to pure source to try to help out the scientists, you know?
Yeah, the dark matter stuff is definitely
I'll be thinking
interesting
on it more. Yeah. And of course, I'm always just wanting to relate it back to this masculine, feminine energy. And then I was trying to ask, I was like, are all, oh yeah. And then in the break that we just took while you answered that call, I was thinking about, I was asking about the difference between the feminine and masculine energy, like energy dominances in galaxies. And I was like, are all spiral galaxies feminine? And then I was thinking that, so the last thing is that there's spiral galaxies where the dominant force, or the motion, is the angular momentum that's keeping it so flat, because you have to have like it's kept pretty flat along the plane of the spiral arms. But then there's other elliptical galaxies, or there's other galaxies that are a bit have different shapes, and for those, like, the motion is more spherical, or it's a bit more random, and so there's like motion along the planes too. And so I kind of got that the masculine feminine energies have to do with the direction of where the momentum is dominating.
Interesting. Okay.
So like, yeah. So I'm not sure, but it's a seed planted for me. And we'll come back to it at some point and dig deeper. But these are just the things. This is what I'm curious about, and it's good for me to start sharing this and to start consciously choosing. Speaking of choice, again, bringing it back to choice. You know, this is it is what I'm curious about, and it is what I want to know, and it's on me to consciously tap in and to consciously follow my curiosity, and especially combine it with what I already know, and fill in those gaps that I think it's possible for me to access. I think I've accessed this information in other lifetimes, and it's just about tapping into these different versions of me, these different aspects of me that already know this, and that's what I'm actively working on. And so yeah, so that's my journey, tapping into this, because it is what lights me up, clearly. So yeah, there's some astro.
Yeah, cool. I love it.
Cool. Yeah. All right, ready to wrap? Okay. Well, thanks so much for being here. for our 40th
thank
episode.
you. We appreciate you.
And yeah, we really do. And please give us some feedback. And if you're here, definitely subscribe on YouTube. Please give us a rating and review wherever you're listening, on Apple or Spotify. Really helps us out. And we love looking at those 5 stars. So if you're enjoying this, just pull it up and just
please. And reach out to us too and let us know if you have any feedback or if you've been enjoying it or if you have any thoughts. It really helps us out as Alyssa and I journey through this world of having a podcast and putting it out there into the world.
Anytime I get a message about someone listening to the podcast, or I've gotten some messages about people discovering it and then binging all the episodes. Like, it makes my entire life. It makes me literally so happy. So for anyone listening that has sent me a message that they've listened or that they're enjoying it, like, it literally makes me so happy. I can't even
describe. This is our work. So.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. We appreciate it. And give me a follow on Instagram at interdimensional.astrophysics. I follow the podcast at the Orphic.
And follow me at Mariposa Moonchild on Instagram. And check out our YouTube and our Instagram at the Orphic podcast that Alyssa just said.
Yeah. Okay. Well,